Well, y'all, it's a beautiful day today. The wind's blowing a little bit, but thank goodness I got most of my stuff done that I needed to do in the yard yesterday. I've been doing laundry today. And if I can already see, I will have to get me another couple of poles to put up there. Because since the shade cloth has been up there, it's kind of stretched out a little bit, which I knew it would. And it's dropping down a little bit more than I wanted it to, especially in the back part. So I will get another one or two poles to kind of brace it up like I did the two almost in the center. But look at my rose bushes, y'all. And we're supposed to get rain tomorrow. That's the reason I wanted to get stuff done today. There's my red pepper plants that are coming up from the seed. I planted some eggplant right there. I'm just waiting for it to come up. My tomatoes have started coming up. My Roma tomatoes. Some of them are coming up in the center now too. And there's my orange bell peppers. And my yellow bell peppers right there in that little pot. So it won't be long before I'll be transplanting those. And here comes little Buddy. He heard me talking. He heard me talking. But my wood pile's gone. Wanted to show you this rock garden because look at the moonflowers. My moonflowers are really starting to grow and they're fixing to open up with flowers. I've got a few on the back side, but they're not this big because they were in the shade until I cut those trees down. And moonflowers love the sun. So now the ones in the back will start growing too. And I got my Indian blanket flowers, or Indian paint flowers right there growing. Starting to bloom, excuse me. Starting to bloom. I got wild lettuce growing in here. And you know, in ancient times, wild lettuce was a painkiller. They boiled the leaves till they basically almost made a paste with it, and they added a little bit of water, and then they strained it, and the serum or syrup that was left was what they took for pain. And there's my sunflowers in the middle. They're growing pretty good. And if we get rain tomorrow, oh my God, everything in this rock garden here should just take off. The jalapeno seed hasn't come up here yet, but it takes it a while. And my perpetual spinach is starting to grow. I got perpetual spinach on this side as well. I needed to give that sunflower some water. It's kind of drooping. But if we get rain tomorrow, oh my goodness, those things will take off like crazy. My little rose bush. That's the only one that survived in the ground out here along the property line. The other one is in that green planter right there. And I still got bluebonnets. Unfortunately, when they raked out a lot of the wood chips, they raked over my bluebonnets that were over on that side. But these over here will drop seed. And I got one little one right there. I guess you can see it. But I got several out here. And if it rains tomorrow, they should really take off growing too. My mums are starting to bloom. Yeah, they raked this out and went over my bluebonnets that were out here. So I don't know if they'll come back or not. They say if you ever damage the plant, the bluebonnets will not come back. And I've been meaning to pick up that bunch of little rocks right there. It's where one of the little figurines broke apart. And the owl is doing the same thing. That owl is coming apart too, so I need to get rid of that. I will when I get time. But my sunflowers, they perked up. There's the other rose bush. My sunflowers there, they're going to be pretty when they get bigger. And I got a sunflower in this pot, which is liking it in that pot. It's gotten pretty healthy. And see, I got 2 more down here. And some right there. And I got to pretty soon burn this, but I'm not going to do it when the wind's blowing. And there's my mums and a sunflower there. My crepe myrtle. Thank God I don't have to water that. It's found a water source of its own. And I've got that moss type flower that loves it out here in this hot sun, so I'm just letting it grow in these pots. I bought some of it one year from one of the flower nurseries, 2 different types of it, and planted it, and I've had plenty of it every year since. And I said, since it grows so well out here, I'm just going to leave it. I can't remember the name of it. See, I've got some here with that grass out of there. I got a marigold coming up there. And that's going to be pretty when it comes over the top of the pots and starts blooming. Pot full of sunflowers right there. I had perpetual spinach in it last year, but it didn't make it through the winter. And I haven't replanted any in there yet. I may not. But my jalapeno hasn't come up there yet. And I'm waiting for some of my other plants to get big enough to where I can, thin them out and put some in these pots. And there is my, forgot the name of it. But my tree, I was afraid it was dead. But look at it. It's come all back from the roots down there. So it's alive, and it's probably all down in the bigger pot too. And I've got that mossy type flower that's growing there. That's going to be pretty. I've got mint there. I've got more jalapeno seed there, but no, that's hot pepper and bell pepper. But it hasn't come up. And I probably need to get this sunflower out of this pot, because that thing will get 6 to 8 foot tall. And it's going to weight this pot over. It'll take both hands to get it out of there. I pulled the one out of this one because I knew these pots are not big enough, and this trellis is not strong enough to handle the weight of that sunflower when it gets 6 to 8 foot tall and the wind blows against it. So yeah, I'm going to have to get these out of here. Or this one out of here. It's the only one in there. And I'm probably going to transplant this pot of sunflowers too out in the big rock garden. If it rains tomorrow and softens up the dirt any, gets the dirt wet. And there's my, I can't remember if this was my tree collards or my Chinese cabbage. Because I have a cabbage that grows like a tree, and I've got my collards that grow like a tree. And I'm going to wait and see if my perpetual spinach comes back in this bucket. I've only got 1 or 2 okra come up so far. But if it rains tomorrow, that should help it come up. And this is butternut squash. And see, I've got more of that stuff in here. I tell you, if you ever plant it in your yard, it drops 1,000,000 seeds. It will come up everywhere in your yard. I have to keep pulling it out of my vegetable plants. And I've got Roma tomatoes there that I'm pretty soon going to have to separate. And I got some here, Roma tomatoes, that need to be separated. Because I don't want 5 or 6 in one little pot like that. And see, this is what I was doing yesterday. I took all the little seedlings out of the greenhouse, and I went around the garden, and I put them out. And this is Rutgers tomato here. And I think it's the same over there in that pot. I put one in here and the bug started on it, so I covered it up with my bottle. My mini greenhouse. And I'm not sure. I thought this tomato plant was going to get bigger, but I don't know. It's already putting blooms out to have tomatoes. That's a celebrity tomato. But maybe it was a determinant to where it's not going to get real big. And here's more Roma tomatoes. I'm going to have a pile of Roma tomatoes. Look at there. I'm going to let them grow a little bit more, and then I'll dig them out and separate them and transplant them. I got a tomato there. And look at this one. I think this is a celebrity. I'm not sure. I've got a... Yeah, it's a celebrity tomato. And it's got a ton of blooms on it, so it should have a bunch of tomatoes. And I put another tomato back here, but I don't remember what the name of that one is. And I think I got Hungarian peppers coming up here, the hot ones, the yellow ones that get hot. What do you want, Lucky? Huh? I got marigolds transplanted. I got tomatoes transplanted here. And these are the Rutger. I need to get something on them to keep the bugs from biting the leaves up. And I don't know if this is the grape. This is the sun sugar. Like a grape tomato. But all of these come up from seed, y'all. And there's another one of my collards or cabbages that made it through the winter. And I'm going to have to get out here and spray these with pepper spray to keep the ants off of them. Keep the worms off of them. And see, I've got Rutger tomato plants in here. And I just covered them. I ran out of bottles, or I would have covered all the small ones to keep the bugs off of them till they get a little bigger. But I ran out of bottles, y'all. And look at this. See my tomatoes in there? Right there at the end of my finger. Look here. The walking onions are getting ready to burst out. That one's bursting out already. It's got a cluster of onions in there, and it's already got sprouts on them. And here's my other tomato, and it's got tomatoes started. Several tomatoes on it already. Little ones, but they're there. And that's a, let's see what kind of that was. That's a husky cherry red tomato. So it won't be very big. And there's another one of my tree collards or tree cabbages that survived. I got one there that survived. And you know, I think I had 5 cuttings, and these are the only 2 that survived. Well, that one over here survived. But I think this is a broccoli. I don't think this is a cabbage, it's a broccoli. Look at Lucky. He's going to hang out in the shade. He said it's too hot to walk around. Look at this. I think I missed these tomatoes. Look at that. I got a yellow squash planted in there. And I don't see the tag for the tomato. That's a bush early girl tomato. It's full of blooms, and it's got 3 tomatoes on it already. So I'm going to have me a BLT before long. And see, look, these are the garlic chives. See how that cluster of little onions is at the top? They do the same as the Egyptian walking onions. They burst at the top of the stem and put out a whole cluster of little onions for you to plant. And these, the Egyptian walking onions are getting ready to do the same thing. Look at that. But the garlic chives have already done it. But they're not ready to cut off of there yet. You got to wait till they open up and they kind of start growing a little bit. They'll put out a little sprout. Well, that one's already got sprouts on it. And then you can cut them off and break the little garlic chives apart and plant them. Same way with the Egyptian walking onions. See, I'm going to have a bunch of them because each one of those little stems like that do the walking and put out seeds at the top, you'll have all those onions to transplant, to replant another pot or several pots of walking onions. I put more strawberries in here, and I've got marigolds coming up, and there's too many marigolds in there, but that's good because I wanted them to come up in here so I can take them out and transplant them, spread them around the garden. And I've got purple bell pepper coming up here, and you're not supposed to plant peppers with strawberries, and I've got strawberries in this end as well. So when they get big enough, I'm pulling the purple pepper out, purple bell pepper out, and I'll transplant it. But it's good to put the onions, and look at there, they're getting ready to bust open with pods to replant. But it's good to put marigolds and onions, that type of thing, with your celery and your strawberries, because it confuses the bugs, and they leave your strawberries alone, because the marigolds and the onions kind of mask the scent of the strawberry plant, as well as the celery in the middle. And my celery's starting to look pretty good. If it rains tomorrow, it's going to look really, really good. And here goes my yellow squash. You can see I've got a yellow squash there. And they're all starting to produce squash or zucchini. I just hope that the vine borers don't get to them. And I don't know about the lavender here. I don't think this is lavender. This is something else, I think. And I don't think that's lavender. I don't know why my lavender didn't come up. But I've got tons of blooms. It's fixing to open in here. See right there, there's a squash, a yellow squash. But I'll have a bunch of them in there if they get pollinated. I haven't seen any male ones yet. And this is zucchini. They're starting to put on fruit. You can't very well see it yet, but it's starting. I got marigolds started in there with them. And this is a zucchini, and it's about to outgrow my net. So I'm going to have to take that net off of it pretty soon. My turnips are really growing. My beets. My sweet peas. Those are the ones that has the really pretty flowers on them, and you can make tea with the flowers. Oh my goodness, and there's one of those caterpillars. One of those stinging caterpillars. I don't like seeing them in my pots. Let's see if I can get him to latch onto here and get him out. Yeah, see there? That's one of those stinging caterpillars. Ugly, isn't he? put him down because I don't want to. I hope I got him. I stepped on him. But this is my climbing peas, and I got to get my trellis out here pretty soon because see, they're starting to run. And I only had 2 or 3 little popcorn stalks come up. I don't know why the popcorn didn't come up. I got another one started right here. But I got a couple here. That's corn. And it's the popcorn. And I got strawberries in here, and I planted it just the way they said. They said to put your peas so many inches away from the strawberry. But I think I got too many peas in here. They're supposed to do the same things. The peas keep the bugs away from your strawberry plants. And it helps shade them as well. See my strawberries down in there? And they were just bare roots, so I think they're doing good. That's a strawberry plant right there. I don't know, that almost looks like a watermelon right there, and I didn't put watermelon in there. I put the peas and my strawberries and a few onions. That's supposed to mask the scent of the strawberries. And look at this, y'all. I have got a pumpkin vine going crazy coming out of this pot. I got watermelon in there, but that pumpkin is not giving the watermelon a chance. I got a watermelon back here. Right there. I got one in the middle. But that pumpkin is not giving it a chance, I'll tell you. Yeah, I got to get the poles up here, and so these peas will have something to climb on. These over here are bush peas, bush beans. So they should not need a trellis. But these are the climbing beans. They will go like a vine. And I do need to trellis them and give them something to climb up on. That's the reason I put this brace here. So I'll have something to put the net to, or either more poles. I can lean them against this and fasten them. So these peas will have something to grow on. And there's little Buddy. Yeah, he's following us too. He likes to do garden tours, and there's Lucky coming. My 2 fur babies. But I wanted to show you what I was doing, and my poor banana, I don't think it's coming back this time. It came back 2 times, and then it froze each time and killed it back. The last time it froze, it killed it back. And I don't know if the roots are gone or not, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'll leave it. If it comes up, it will. If it don't, I'll put something else there. But yeah, I worked yesterday, I tell you. I got a Rutger tomato in that bottle. And out of all of those seeds so far, I've only got 3 Casper eggplants come up. There's 2 right there, and I think that's 1 right here. But that'll be enough in this pot. I won't have to pull any out. I can just leave 3 in there. And there's my carrots, y'all. Look at those carrots from last year, the seed that was there. That's the tallest ones, are the ones from last year. And I haven't looked down in there to see if I've got carrots enough to where I can pull them out yet. But I've got one of the dill cucumbers here. It's fighting for life. It's trying to come up through the tomatoes and the carrots. Yeah, and I've still got to get these tomatoes. Look at that whole cluster of tomatoes down in there. I'll have to pull that whole cluster out carefully and separate it so I don't break the roots. And I got to dust that with something. That was my mixed greens, salad greens, and the bugs have eaten it up. There's cilantro on this next shelf. This is kohlrabi, and I probably need to pull that out and transplant it. And this is my coleus, and I've only got a couple that came up. I hope I can keep them alive. And there's my salad bowl lettuce up there. My peas, my corn, my marigolds, my other crepe myrtle right here. Yeah, I did my laundry, or part of my laundry this morning. I still got another load to do, but I'm not in a rush to get it done. But I've got a Golden Jubilee grape tomato right there, and I planted it there so it can grow up the trellis. See my greenhouse? I got all those seedlings out. The only thing that's left in here is my lettuce, transplanted lettuce, and my pot that I've got a little bit of okra. I've got a herb growing there, and holy basil, and my lettuce. I pulled a bunch of lettuce out of this one pot and transplanted it into individual pots so it could have a chance to grow better. But I'm going to have to pretty soon get it out of here. Even with the door open, I think it'll get too hot in here. But I'm not sure where I'm going to move it yet. And I put my Mother of Millions in here because I forgot one night when it froze and it killed my plant. But I've got a few little sprouts, a few little seeds that are trying to take root in here. And I put them in here to give them the best chance of growing. My peas, I don't know. My butter beans, lima beans, they're gradually coming up, but I don't think they stay wet enough or warm enough or something yet for all of them to come up. Because I put 2 beans in each one of these sections. So we'll see. And see, there's a Cherokee purple plant right there. Just a little bitty seedling. I was real careful with it. I hope it survives. I got a Cherokee purple tomato under that bottle. And this is a celebrity, I think, or early girl. A slicer tomato. That should be a big tomato. And this is a celebrity tomato. And that's a Cherokee purple tomato. I don't know what this one is in this little pot. I've planted so many different varieties of tomatoes. I forget what I planted where. That one in that black pot is a Golden Jubilee grape tomato, and that grows really tall. That's the reason I put it there, because it will get tall. And I got a basil. See what the bugs are doing to my basil? I got to spray it with something. Hot pepper vinegar or something. And that's holy basil. The seeds just didn't want to do anything, so I've transplanted them, put them in new dirt, and I'm hoping they'll start growing in here now instead of dying. And that's my geraniums, the only ones that survived. I'm hoping they'll grow a little bit better since I transplanted the little seedlings into this pot and gave it some better dirt. And I got one of the grape tomatoes there. No, they're not grape tomatoes. They're the beefsteak. All of these little tomatoes right here that I've planted all along here are beefsteak tomatoes. And in there. And I put a couple of them over here too, beefsteaks. I got a beefsteak right there. My basil. The basil loves the shade. I found that out. When I put my basil back here, it grows beautifully. But that one that's out in the sun is getting eat up with bugs. The sun burns it. These are all beefsteak. And I put a little bit more in this tote than I want there, but they're little ones. And when they survive and they get bigger, I can transplant another couple of them. Sunflowers, and I don't really want them in my flower pots. These flower pots are not big enough to hold the weight of a sunflower. And look at this, I got a volunteer right there. I planted jalapeno seed there, but it's not come up. I'm gonna be careful where I step since I saw that one caterpillar, because I don't want to step on one with flip-flops on, then he'll sting my foot. But I got volunteer peppers coming up. And there's my hosta, my 2 hostas. I'm glad I moved them over here because they would not have survived out there in that hot sun. I got volunteers coming up in here, but I'm not sure if that's a tomato or a pepper. Whew, it's hot already. And I got tomatoes here. And they were volunteers, so I don't remember what kind of tomato I had in this pot last year. But I've got 3. There's a little one down there and these 2 big ones. So I'm leaving them. I just put a tomato wire in there to give them some support when they get bigger. I haven't put anything in these yet. You know, I did put potatoes, but I think I jumped the gun on the potatoes for here anyway. That's the reason I put them in the bags in the back. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this evergreen bush. That was supposed to have been a mandevilla. And I always wondered why it never bloomed. And then I realized it's not a mandevilla, it's evergreen. And it's coming up every year, so I've just left it there. I need to trim it back. But it's killed out my clematis that was in that pot, because it's taken all the nutrients from the everything else for the evergreen to survive. I need to trim it back though. And these little things have done their blooming, I guess. They were pretty when they bloomed. I don't remember what this one is. A peppermint. I've planted marigolds and a couple more hollyhock seeds in here, and some of it's coming up. I'm not sure which. I put dahlias, marigolds, and hollyhocks. And there goes my clematis here, the lavender one. I've been putting my banana tea to my rose bushes here. And they started to grow a little bit, but they need to be trimmed because they look kind of straggly. But they're putting out blooms. Look at that. I always said that was my yellow rose of Texas because it looks yellow at one time and then it looks white at one time. And then my mums. And then these flowers that I put the bulbs in the ground a couple of weeks ago, they're getting ready to bloom. And those 2 over there are getting ready to bloom. I got mums, daylilies, gladiolas, Indian paint flowers. So it should look pretty when all of them bloom. If I could keep it watered better, they would bloom better. But if it rains tomorrow, they'll be okay. You see, there's some of the Indian paint flowers. They were from wildflower seeds, so basically you don't have to water them. They find water. That's one reason I wanted them in here. And they're spread out throughout the rock garden with the daylilies. But if it don't rain tomorrow, they do need water. I'll have to bring compost tea or something out here and water them. Because the daylilies and these other bulbs, you know, they take very little water. But they do need water. You can't let them completely dry out or the bulbs will dry out. My aloe vera. And Lucky. What you think, Lucky? Huh? What you think, little buddy? He's a little buddy, but his name is Lucky. And I've got Indian paint flowers planted up here. Daylilies. This used to be full of daylilies, but with the drought and not being able to water properly, a lot of my bulbs dried out. And I was only left with 2 or 3 daylily bulbs in there, but they've come up and they'll spread. And I've got marigolds right there coming up. Indian paint flowers. I got daffodils. My Easter flower, I don't know what the name of them are. They're in here. My daffodils haven't bloomed yet. I don't know if they will. But daylilies will. They haven't even thought about blooming yet. What you think, little buddy? Huh? What you think? You like this breeze blowing out here, don't you? Feels good. Be in the shade and that breeze blowing, it cools you right off. Yes, it does. Yeah, what you meowing about, Lucky? Huh? Listen to him. Meow, meow. Huh? Now little buddy's gonna meow. Meow. And see, I'll have to do my other lettuce like I've done this. I already harvested this thing one time. And my net's coming undone. I think the wind's been blowing it. Because if I don't keep my lettuce covered up, the bugs will eat it. And I don't know, I guess this was the wrong place to put this potato vine. It probably needs more sun than it gets up here, I guess. And I got to start fastening these vines. This is another grape tomato. I'm not sure what this one is. Celebrity tomato here. I put my coffee grinds out here. Filter and all, because the filter will break down. I got Black Beauty eggplant there coming up. So I'll have plants that I can pull out and move around. And I've got that herb that's coming up, the anise, hyssop herb is coming up in there. There is my rosemary. And I got Ghost Casper eggplant coming up in there. So I will have at least a couple of Casper eggplant. And I put some more of the peppers. I think these are the peppers. No, that's eggplant. Yeah, I put an eggplant marker there. So these are the small eggplants that came up. I was afraid if I left them in the greenhouse, it gets too hot in there, they'd die. So I went ahead and tried to give them the best chance in the world. And I don't know, I guess my rosemary here is gone. I think it's still alive though, the roots. So maybe it'll come back. I haven't planted in these yet. Except here, I do have eggplant coming up. But I got volunteers coming up in these other ones. But I'm going to use those to transplant some of my other stuff when they're big enough to transplant. There's my cabbages. I had to dust them down because the bugs were eating them. The worms were eating them up. Really, this is the wrong time of the year to plant cabbage, collards, and stuff like that. Because in the hot weather, you can't hardly keep the bugs off of them unless you do dust them constantly. But I grow them anyway. I think that's a pepper. I'm not sure. I don't remember everything I planted. I know that's parsley in there. Eggplant right there. Mint, Egyptian walking onions. Tomatoes, marigolds, and zucchini. Anise, hyssop herb right there. Big dill cucumber there, and marigolds. Walking onions. I got marigolds or tomatoes coming up. I haven't seen the peppers come up yet. They will though. And when they do, I'll have 1,000,000 of them. Yeah, and I gotta pretty soon get more dirt in my potatoes. This is the scallop white bush squash. I hope I end up with squash over here this year because I got one little tiny one last year. And this is the eggplant. Look at that. That's not an eggplant right there. That's a weed. And I got a weed coming up in there. But that's my eggplant. I've kept it protected because I don't want anything to eat it. If it gets big enough, they won't usually bother it. But the little tiny ones, they will. I'm constantly doing this, pulling weeds out. I need to go around and put compost tea to all these. And look at all the volunteer tomato plants there. That is the Black Beauty cherry tomato back there in the corner. And this is beefsteak tomato, a big one. I like the beefsteaks, the bigger tomatoes when I can get them. But usually the grape tomatoes and the little cherry tomatoes will grow better here. And I've got Hungarian yellow wax pepper right there, a little bitty one. I just hope the little sprouts survive. And I got one over there with some jalapeno seeds that I planted. And I don't know about this dahlia, it's just not doing anything here. It's trying to bloom again though. I put one of the little peppers there. I got some right here. And I got one right there. So we'll see if it does anything. And more walking onions. I got 2 buckets of walking onions. So I've got plenty of onions. I don't have to buy any onions anytime soon for sure. And I think this tote is staying too wet. I had a hot pepper here. That's a zucchini. But the zucchini looks like it's dying. It may be getting too much water. But I got a rose bush stuck in here to see if it'll root. I got a zucchini here. Golden Jubilee tomato back there. The Cherokee purple tomato right there. And that's a Golden Jubilee right here that's dusted down with a corn. And I got the same back here. I really didn't think for a long time that that crepe myrtle was going to make it, because it looked like it was going to die several times over the years. But it's made it, and look how pretty it is. I'm going to try to keep it trimmed down, though, because I don't want it to get too tall. But it'll provide a little bit of shade for my peas and stuff eventually. So I guess that's about it for my garden. That rose bush there is just getting bigger and bigger. It's so pretty. It found a good water source under the ground right there, that's for sure. Because I don't water that. I don't water that rose bush at all. But usually, if you put them in a good spot, the roots find water. And all of these so far have found good water, especially this one. Because that rose bush has been there for several years. I wish I could get them started on the other side that good. You know, in front of the garden right there at the entrance. Like these are growing, but the last ones I put out, you know, I planted another one there, but it died. I had put one over here on this side and it died, but the one in the middle survived. And I think it'll get big enough that just one rose bush is all I'm going to need there anyway. And these are trying to survive. I got two of them. One right there and one right here. And if it rains tomorrow, it's going to help it tremendously because those two rose bushes need water. So, y'all. Oh, I tell you what, it sure makes it a difference under the shade cloth to be under here and not be out there in that hot sun, because that hot sun is hot, hot, hot. That little bit of shade cloth makes a world of difference. And I know my plants are loving it. But I do need to put me another pole right there, because that's sagging down quite a bit. I mean, I can walk under it. But look, you'll see when it comes down, it almost touches my head. And if I put a pole right up here, somewhere, it'll hold it up higher. Right now, the wind's holding it up mostly, but when the wind's not blowing, it sags down, and it would sit right on my head. So... And I'm wearing blouses with no sleeves because I ended up with a, look at that, a farmer's tan. Goes up just past my elbows, and then the tan stops and the rest of my arm is white. So for the last several days I've been wearing blouses that had no sleeves to get rid of the farmer's tan. I don't want to have a two-tone arm. I want it all to be tanned. But yeah, the little bit of shade that these carrots are getting right now has helped tremendously. But the wind is blowing today. But yeah, I think that's all I need to do is basically put another one right back here somewhere to hold this part up. That's where I put the two together. It needs to be up a little bit more. But I mean, it'll work just like it is. I'm usually the only one back here anyway, and I'm short. Whew, it's getting hot, y'all. Well, that's pretty much all I got for you today. I haven't planted these yet because these are volunteers. Those are volunteer Hungarian wax peppers that came up, the ones that were there last year. And I haven't seen any volunteers come up here. So I'll probably pull 1 or 2 out of this bucket here when they get bigger. Because so far I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. If they all survive, I'll pull a couple out and put them in the other bucket where I had some last year. So I'll have 2 buckets of Hungarian hot wax peppers again. So, get my roses in the background. That's a prettier view. So, I just wanted to give you an update of what I've been doing, why I haven't been going live at night, because I've been so dead tired. I'm trying to get all this done before all my seedlings died in the greenhouse from being too hot. I wanted to get them out too because it was supposed to rain tomorrow, and if it rains, it'll do them a world of good. So the best time to transplant seedlings is just before it rains. You'll be surprised how much better they'll do if it rains on them after you transplant them. But yeah, y'all, please, I love y'all. I'm so happy you took the time to watch my video today. Whenever you're watching it, morning, noon, or night, I appreciate the time you spend watching my videos. Tell everybody to please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. Love y'all, and see you on the next one. Bye now.